Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I've posted a couple of the videos that I shot while at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and so now we're doing the pickups. This is the badge that I wore on the day, schedule of events on the back there. Like that NES design. I mean, I'm not a huge NES fan, but that's a pretty cool looking card. But let me get on with the items that I got at the show. First among which is I got Gauntlet 4 for the Sega Genesis. It was $20, which was a little bit high. Now this cartridge is in really fantastic shape. I mean, it looks brand new. $20 though? Like when I had seen this thing mentioned on some top 10 Genesis games that nobody talks about, I had thought, okay, I really love Gauntlet, and what is intriguing to me about this, it has kind of a single-player version, I think, something you can throw in and do some challenges. So I thought, yeah, if it's like $5-10, I'll pick it up. 20 looks a little dicey, and unfortunately, everyone that I saw at the show was $20. So I gave in. There was another game I was also going to get, Ghosts and Goblins for the Genesis, but they wanted $30 for that, and I thought, no, I'm not going for that. I've paid one expensive price for one cartridge. That's all you're getting out of me. Also got, and this is sort of gaming related, a book that a guy was just giving away. He wanted $10 originally, but he said, you know what, give me $5 for it and you can just take it. And I thought, all right, I mean, I like Street Fighter, obviously, and that's a nice book. What's kind of handy, though, is it's actually got little dividers in here, perfect for holding Game Boy games. And I'm actually getting to the point where I have so many Game Boy games that I kind of need some kind of storage unit for it. Anybody who follows me on Facebook will see that my brother-in-law actually printed 3D printed a little Game Boy holder. Now the problem is I got a lot more Game Boy Advance games as well. So I think I'm going to put those into that holder. And then this has perfect little slots that are the size of Game Boy games. So this will be what I use for holding Game Boy games from now on. Next, I bought something I already own, and you're probably scratching your head about that. A while ago, I actually got this Ms. Pac-Man game that has like multiple ones on it, primarily because pole position on it is great, and you can play it with this little thing, which acts as a steering wheel. Was going to do a video about it, especially since this one is the type that comes with the built-in cartridge. This one has Dig Dug and New Rally X. That was really cool, and I was going to do a video about it, except one, this back plate is kind of held on with tape. And secondly, it's not really something I can video because this wire, I think, has a break in it. I got this thing on eBay for not too much money, but it was not exactly cheap either. And when I plugged it in, I found I had to sort of hold the whole thing a certain way for the signal to get through. And I thought, all right, well, I think I'm going to maybe reconsider that. However, at the show, I got this, which is the Pac-Man one. It was $5, and this is actually from another Castle booth, which I'll talk about in a second. But just onto the console itself, this also has the twisty knob that you can play for pole position, which is not showing on the sides here, but this has pole position, Pac-Man, Bosconian, Galaga, Galaxian, Dig Dug, and it also has Rally X and those other games that came on that little cartridge. The only game that's not on here is Ms. Pac-Man, which is unfortunate because I really like Ms. Pac-Man. But I thought, you know what? This one definitely works. I've plugged it in and I've wiggled the cable a whole bunch of times. This one has a solid signal. It was only $5. Thank you very much to Another Castle. Another kind of cool thing, and this is a real bonus for the $5, it's still got batteries in it that work, so that's totally a bonus all around. And to finish off the story about Another Castle and their booth, I also picked up for another $5 a bunch of Game Gear cartridge holders, because as you know, I've got a Game Gear and I needed little cartridge holders to hold it, so $5 for the stack of 5, that's great. What's kind of funny, and I'm kind of kicking myself, when I went there and got these two items, the guy who handed them to me and took the money, I was thinking, is that Tony? Is that Kinsey Burke's boyfriend? Because I met him at the Vancouver Fan Expo, looks a bit like him, and he's already taken my money and has moved on to the next guy. I should have said hello or something, but it wasn't until after I walked away that I suddenly thought, oh shoot, I think that was Tony, and I should have been more social, but you're surrounded by people. It's really loud and clanging in there. So, all right, we'll just move on. But yeah, if you happen to see this, Tony, sorry I didn't say hi. On the subject of the Game Gear, I got 3 games for it. Mappy, and this one was $12. Really like this. I've actually tried it out already. Gonna do full videos about the Game Gear. On the subject of Mappy, though, there was also footage, or you may have seen in my footage of the show, somebody's made Mappy run on the Atari 2600, and it was there and it was playable, and it is a really impressive bit of work. I would have bought it, except for my cartridge holder for my modded flashback doesn't really hold cartridges that well. I can get the ROM to run on my flashback, but it doesn't play the music, and the music on the 2600 one is really like pitch perfect to the original. But I just thought, well, here's Mappy now for the Game Gear, and Mappy comes on this thing as well, so I'm kind of Mappied out. But anyway, yes, I got Mappy for the Sega Game Gear. Also picked up for the Game Gear, Fatal Fury Special. That was $18.99 or $19. Why did I get this? Now, I've got various fighting games for the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance, and I have to say, and I'm going to talk about this when I discuss the Game Gear in more detail in future, I really like the D-pad on the Game Gear. Like, it feels really nice. It's a much better controller, I think, than what's on the Game Boy or Game Boy Advance. And I just thought, I'd like to get a fighting game just to see what that's like. Saw there was Mortal Kombat and stuff, but then I saw this was available, Fatal Fury Special, and it does have Mei Shiranui, I never know how to pronounce her name, which I may have mentioned in my honorable mentions as she's kind of a digital crush of mine, and I thought, well, why not get a game of hers? This is really a lot of fun. I'm gonna do more videos about this in the future. And the third Game Gear game that I got is this one, which I believe is Magical Puzzle Popsicles? Hang on, it's on the back here. It was $20. Magical Puzzle Pop-Bills. There we go. It's a puzzle game that is highly regarded, and what's actually good about this is you actually have a battery saving capability in the cartridge, so your progress is actually saved, which says a lot more than a lot of ROM cartridges. And I know a few people who have talked about Game Gear and have said this is the puzzle game to have for it. And I thought, well, $20, yeah, sure, I'll get that game for the Game Gear. But the Nintendo handhelds got some love as well. A game that I had kind of given up ever finding was Dragon's Lair for the Game Boy Color. This is the one that's actually pretty much the arcade original Laserdisc game, really reduced down to chunky, pixelated Game Boy Color graphics. A lot of fun, like it's going to do a video about it. This was $12. And a Game Boy Advance game that I picked up was Tron Killer App, or Tron 2.0 Killer App. I actually played this and I really enjoyed it, and I got rid of it. And Willie from Arcade USA did a video about it not too long ago and reminded me it actually has the arcade original of Tron and diddly discs of Tron, which is playable with the Game Boy Advance sort of shoulder buttons and stuff in a good way. And I thought, maybe I'll pick it up. And heck, the guy only wanted $5 for it, so I thought, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna pick that up. And there's also a light cycle game on here, a tank game, and one where you fly a recognizer. So I thought, yeah, for $5, yes, I'm not going to argue. I'm getting Tron 2.0 Killer App. And the final pickup from the show was Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D for the Nintendo 3DS. Do I have the price tag on this one? No, I don't. I think it was $15. Wanted to get this one because, again, much like Fatal Fury with Mei Shiranui, this one has Jill Valentine in the blue dress, the way I have kind of a thing for, and in 3D. Hello, can't go wrong with that. A lot of people don't like this game because Capcom, when they built it, or when they made it, they didn't actually make it so that you can refresh or reset all the memory in it. When you unlock things in this game, they stay permanently unlocked on the cartridge. And a lot of gamers were like, well, that's got no resale ability then. Any progress that's made is permanent. So if I hand it to my buddy, he's at the end of the game like I am. Personally, I'm fine with that because I wanted to get this game with Jill in her alternate costume unlocked. And I've tried it out. Yes, somebody has already got to that point, so I can go straight to Jill and bypass all the other stuff. So this is a bonus for me. Very, very happy I picked this up. Now that's not the last thing I picked up, but that's the last thing I got at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Had a little bit of extra time, so I thought, well, since we're in town, why don't we go check out GameStop, because sometimes they have good stuff there. And boy, did they have something good. I'm very pleased I went in, because in here is my new PlayStation Move aim controller. And it's not so much new, really. It was actually used, pre-owned as they call it. They only wanted $44 US. So I thought, well, yeah, because although there's some really good games and there's more coming that use the aim controller, I've never really been convinced that I would play this thing that much. So I thought, well, for $44, which is about 57, 58 Canadian, and no taxes, yeah, I'm going to pick this up because I'll get about $57 worth of value out of this thing. I've checked, and at least on the handful of aim-supported games that I already own, all the buttons seem to work, the tracking seems to be good, so it's a perfectly fine aim controller, and I got that for a good deal. Now, I've mentioned for the title of this isn't just Portland Retro Gaming Expo pickups, there's some bonus pickups as well. Just 2 weeks ago was the Vancouver Fan Expo show, and I picked up a couple of items there. There weren't too many, but Neil Morris did say, hey, you're going to show the things that you bought at that show, so I figured, yeah, okay, I'll add those in as well. Item number 1 is a little Jawa Lego compatible figurine, and it's very, very small. Why have I got this? Well, I'm going to put it together and show in a future video, but that was like $5 for that. And then the final item I also picked up at Vancouver Fan Expo was a Stormtrooper coffee mug cozy. Basically, this is a sleeve to wrap around a coffee mug, like a Starbucksy thing or whatever. I thought that's kind of cute. You know, it's a neat little home sort of cottage industry thing. I can't remember what the lady was selling it for, maybe $10. And I thought, you know what, there are times I don't like how Starbucks coffee and stuff is super, super hot, and even the little cardboard sleeve they give you is not enough. If this thing works, yeah, sure, I'll give the lady $10 for this thing and keep it around for exactly that purpose. So anyway, there are the things I picked up recently at Vancouver Fan Expo, also Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and also GameStop in the nearby mall at Portland. And yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.